I'd like to introduce Mike Helfrich with the Golf Tank. He's the president and partner. Also Derek Rookie, he's the T-Link president and founder. And then also the local sales representative who's going to be representing these lines is Mark Cruz. A lot of you know Mark from past sponsorships. He's been involved with our Iowa PGA Foundation Pro-Am for several years. Mark, we really appreciate your continued support of the Iowa PGA section. Let's give these gentlemen a warm Iowa welcome. And Mike, thank you very much for being here.
Good morning. So first off, I just found out last night that this is sort of a continuing education thing. And I know a lot of you are here to get your points. And if any of you are right on the bubble, I want to make sure that you understand that when we're speaking today, you're actually losing points. So you're going to go backwards. So if you don't want to lose any points, now's your chance to exit and get out of here. So TGT Sports Ventures, or the Golf Tank as we've been known since we founded the company 3.5 years ago, is really a holding company. And I'll tell you a little bit about my history and how this came about, and then we'll run through several of the products, or well, some of them are products and some of them are services and so forth that we have invested in. So I've been in the golf business for, I think, 23 years now. I was a baseball player in college. I got hurt and couldn't play anymore, and found out that I could still swing a golf club. It was a great thing. So I fell in love with the game, like probably all of you did at some point in your life. And the longer I worked in and around the golf courses, the more I realized this is what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So I started working at a golf course while I was still in college. I took summer jobs at a different golf course and worked on the maintenance crew, and then shortly after that kind of worked my way more into the pro shop and operations side of the business. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happened in between, but in 1996 I was transferred down to Scottsdale. I grew up in the Northwest, and I was involved with a couple of different technology businesses early on in golf that were trying to pull together travel providers and golf courses to just make it easier for people to book tee times along with their destination travel. Obviously, Phoenix is well known for that. That led me into kind of the technical side of software development and things like that. And in 2000, I started a business that was an independent researcher of golf products. So we wrote fitting algorithms, we tested launch monitors, shafts, balls, club heads, you name it. And for 12 years, we built up that business and became kind of a source of information to magazines and writers and different fitting organizations around the country. And it was a lot of fun. I learned a ton. It was the equipment side. I always used to say, you know, well, people take their game very seriously. It's not life or death. We're not doing brain surgery. So we were having a good time and trying to create something that we felt was pretty special. So that leads me to why the Golf Tank. When I left that business to start the Golf Tank with my business partner Tim, it was because we had become fans of the show The Shark Tank on Friday night. We talked about how, you know, entrepreneurs brought new ideas every week, and some of them great and some of them not so great. Some of them great presenters with not great ideas, and vice versa. And we said, you know, given what we do, people are constantly bringing us golf products and saying, well, what do you think about this? Or I have an idea, or I have a brother-in-law that came up with this. And we said, well, what if we created a place where people that wanted to be in golf or had golf ideas could bring their ideas? So that's exactly what we did. And just like the show The Shark Tank, we called it the Golf Tank originally. We later changed the name to TGT Sports Ventures. But our showroom in Scottsdale is called The Tank, and people come by and see us all the time and bring us ideas. So in 3.5 years, we've seen about 250 plus new ideas and or inventions. And Several of those we've made investments in, whether that's monetarily or just providing consulting services or sometimes even just pointing them in the right direction. Quite often people with new ideas think that they need capital, and often they do, but what they need beyond capital really is, you know, the Rolodex that we all have that is within our phone, just to kind of make a quicker or shorter line to the end game. So if you could introduce them to the right people and get them set up, at the end of the day, that's really as much value as capital in a lot of cases. So with that said, so the golf tank, these are some pictures of our showroom. I'm sure from back there you can't see them all that well, but we have a 4,000 square foot showroom in Scottsdale that allows us to showcase some of the products that we have. The reason we built the showroom when people are bringing things to us to pitch is because we wanted to have a private space where we could test different products. So we have a HD golf simulator in there. We have putting greens. We have cameras and can capture swing analysis or do a putter fitting or anything like that. Not that we do any of that to be competitive, but just to evaluate products that are brought to us. We generally, in the products that we look at, we look for some sort of a defensible, it's patent pending, patented, some type of a defensible mechanism. We look for products and or services to be unique in design, obviously, and have some strategic element that is different than their competitors. So whether they're gearing themselves towards maybe the upper third of the golfing marketplace, so maybe a high-end specialty item, or conversely, something that's available to the masses. Okay, so you'll see, for instance, when we talk about Teeling, we feel that that's a product that anybody and everybody could and would have interest in using. So this is kind of a landscape of some of the products that we're currently involved in, products and or services. And when we look at these and our strategy around the holding company, we try and break these into buckets so that we don't get too heavily weighted into one area or another. A part of the strategy that we bring is that not only are a lot of these very, very strong on their own, but when you connect them in certain ways, they can help each other. So by not having things that are really similar or competitive, you're able to leverage them with each other. So we've made investments in Birdie Box, which is a subscription box or gift box program. A lot of people use it for tournament gifting. You can go onto their website and drag and drop items based on the price that you want to create for that gift box for a tournament. So say $50, you have a number of different items that you could drag and drop in. You put in your number of players. They ship you a pallet with all of these pre-configured boxes, and you just set them on the carts and they're ready to go. It's a great program for that. And then they also do subscription-based things. They do long drive, closest to the pin, specialty boxes and things like that. Supreme Golf is a tee time aggregator. Have any of you ever used Kayak for travel? You know what Kayak is? It's an aggregator of all the different travel sites, so it goes out and finds the best deals that are out there and shows them to you. Well, Supreme is very similar, but in tee times. So you have, you probably are all familiar with Golf Now or T18 or Tee Off or any of those. There's, I believe, 12 different, lots of little independent ones, but 12 major players in tee times online. And what they do, what Supreme does, is they take a look at all of those and pull them together. So I'll go into that a little bit more when we get onto that slide. You all seen the Only Green. That's a product that we bought early on in our existence. So many of you I know had familiarity with the Only Green as Dream Green. It was originally founded here in Iowa 22 years ago. We've known the gentleman that had it for all those years for a very long time. Him and his wife moved to Scottsdale about 12 years ago. And they were just at a point where they were ready to retire, and we felt that it could be a much broader, bigger business than it was when they were doing it kind of one-off. So we purchased that company. Again, I'll go into the detail on that one in a bit. Push and putt, excuse me, is the flag stick that we've been showcasing on the green, and we'll go into how that works and what's unique about it. My Golf Pitch, have any of you ever been to a crowdfunding site? Are you familiar with Indiegogo? Anybody? Okay. So crowdfunding has become kind of a mainstream way for a lot of startup companies to raise capital. It's unique because it doesn't require them to give up any of their equity in the business. So what they usually do is they create a rewards program, and fans of that company. So let's say this, for instance, if you wanted to raise money for Push and Putt through a crowdfunding site, you would come up with some rewards that people would get at different levels. And it can be the product, it can be a number of different things. Well, we're creating the very first crowdfunding site for golf. And when we get into that one, I'll tell you where that goes in the next level. And then finally on the game improvement side, we have Derek and Tlink, and he's going to come up and give you a little bit of a background on how he got to where he is today and how the product evolved. So the first one, Supreme Golf, again, taking a look at a specific market, you go in and you say, I want to play on this day in this market, and it pulls all the tee times from all the tee time providers and allows you to see what the average daily rate is, what the largest discount is, the tee times that are available. You've got your weather and so forth there, and it's very nice from a standpoint of all of the other tee time providers really like it, because if somebody is using their specific portal and their portal alone, they're never seeing any of the other tee time inventory that's available from these other providers. So through Supreme, excuse me, now they have the opportunity to go to one spot and see everybody, and 15 minutes away, you may get a better deal through a provider that you didn't even know existed. So it's a real nice way for golf courses to manage their inventory through the providers that they use and get it exposed to a much greater number of golfers through a centralized site. So My Golf Pitch was a concept we came up with actually about 3 years ago when we were first starting to see people about their ideas. We got completely inundated. We had no idea how many people would come through word of mouth and things like that. Our website, if you ever go there, the Golf Tank, is pretty anemic. And it was that way on purpose. We wanted to make it a bit of a challenge for people to find us and turn in an application, because we just didn't know what kind of a response we would get. So most of what we saw in the first 6 months was through gentlemen like yourselves. We're very well integrated with the local section, with a bunch of the touring professionals that live in our area and a lot of their caddies. And they were the ones that referred, I know a guy, a caddy that has this idea. You really should talk to him. And so he would come see us and he would present an idea. Golf professionals or some of their members or whatever. So that's kind of how people got to us. We just couldn't handle the inflow. So early on we decided if we could create a platform where people could kind of self-service and try and raise funds for their startup through their own network, friends, family, Facebook, you name it, we'll help them create a campaign on our website, and hopefully they can raise the money that they need and create great awareness in the process. Well, we have a very, very strong relationship with the Golf Channel, and we've known them for a long time at a number of different levels, and they had some real interest in this. So we're in the process of turning this into a show, and we're not exactly sure when it's going to air yet. So it could be sometime next year, but we'll definitely be shooting it next year. And it will be a great way for people to launch a product because it will have a lot of household eyeballs specific to people that are interested in golf. The next product is one that you probably all saw yesterday. This product, Push and Putt, in a much different form, was actually the 2012 PGA Invention New Inventors Product of the Year. And I'll show you this here. So what we have here is a gentleman, not really, he's not a golf industry guy, he's an inventor, and he came up with the concept because he belongs to a club in North Carolina, and he loves to just go practice and putt even more than he enjoys playing sometimes. So he would go over there, huge green, and he'd practice for hours and hours and hours. But he has a bad back, like a lot of us do. And he said, if I didn't have to reach in there and dig out the balls every time, or bend over to pick the balls out, I think I could save my back. So he came up with this and patented it. And essentially, it's like a plunger. So it's concave on top, so as you go up here, the balls will just roll out and come off the cup, or come out of the cup and onto the green, back to the surface. It's really unique. A lot of people that see it go, wow, duh, why didn't I think of that? It's extremely well made. It's made here in the USA. So these are stainless steel tubes. They're sealed, so no water or sand can get in to cause any damage. And this entire thing is powder coated, so you can choose your color, you can choose your accent band, choose a flag or a custom flag if you want with your own logo on it. And just a very unique product, a great man, and it was kind of fun to help him take this from its infancy to the stage that it's in now. We talked a little bit about Birdie Box in the opening. So Birdie Box it basically goes down two different paths. You can either be a subscriber, just like a magazine subscription. You could buy this for a friend or for a spouse or your father or something like that, and you could sign them up for a 3-month, a 6-month, a 12-month subscription, and every month you would get a new box with some new things in it, and they're all unique, usually kind of first to market things, everything from, I don't know if you've ever tried Chef's Cut jerky. It's really great jerky. So it's not just golf stuff. Sometimes it's lifestyle. Sometimes there's some technology pieces in there like phone chargers and different things that are new and unique, and speakers that you could use in the golf cart and different things. That was a great concept. That was how they founded the business and were driving. Many of you may have seen them at the PGA show. The first year they launched there, in, I think it was 2013. But when they came to us, we talked to them about, there's really a much bigger opportunity in tournaments. You all probably put on collectively thousands of tournaments a year. And if you could provide a program for tournament directors, tournament chairmen, things like that, to easily drag and drop and create custom boxes that they could use for the tournaments, we felt that was really where the opportunity was. So now they have a kind of a website where you can go down one path or the other, depending on whether you're a subscriber or there to use it for tournaments, and it's worked out extremely well. So you get these pre-configured boxes, they show up at your golf course, and you simply just put them on the carts, and it's sort of a ready-made offering that is easy to use and deploy. Here we are at Tlink. I'm going to let Derek come up and talk a little bit about his story. Derek is, we met about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, at a PGA show in Las Vegas, actually, the summer PGA show that we do out west. And Derek has a very unique story. He's not too different from a lot of entrepreneurs, but how he got started well, I'll let him tell the story of where the Teeling concept came from.
All right, hey everyone. As Mike said, My name is Derek Rucky. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Teeling Golf, which is like a rather unordinary situation, being 22 years old. So I think I'll explain kind of the natural, what I feel is a very natural series of events which led to something like this being created. And it really did start where I think most great products start, which is just with passion, right? I fell in love with the game of golf when I was 12 years old. I don't know exactly what it was. It was like the divots flying through the air, the background noises of the birds chirping as you hear your putt go in the hole, whatever it was. I loved it. And I just kind of decided like there was nothing else I really wanted to do. So that was all I did, was golf. And as a result, from the age 12 to 19, I ended up becoming a top 10 junior golfer up in Canada. That's where I'm from. And then I went to go play on a full golf scholarship at a university down in Texas, which was really, that was kind of the goal. And I did want to become a professional golfer, and I was definitely on the path. But when I got to Texas, like, it was a bit of a wake-up call as to how difficult it really is to, you know, make money on the PGA Tour, just get into the PGA Tour. I have a bunch of buddies that like grind it out on the Canadian Tour for like, you know, they're like trying to make that 5-footer so they can supersize their meal that evening or whatever it is. And I just don't think that was for me. And I was able to kind of look at what it takes to become a highly competitive golfer are life skills that are extremely applicable to everything else that you do. So I started getting interested in like applying it to more of a business sense. I always had a bit of an entrepreneurial mind. Started trying a few different things, a few online businesses. When I was in my dorm room in Texas, I ended up starting an eBay business where, has anybody heard of Alibaba? Anybody? Okay, cool. So Alibaba is like one of the highest value companies in the world right now. They're basically just a place where you can go and find manufacturers in China that are producing things and source products from China. And I started importing airsoft guns and makeup into my dorm room, which really random, but it turns out they have super high margins. So I started selling them out of my dorm room, and within like 8 months I had a 6-figure business out of my college dorm room. So, you know, this was kind of unfortunate for my golf game. My golf game went down, and my like business savviness just was on this exponential increase. So I made the decision that any 19-year-old with a 6-figure business would do, which is screw school, I'm dropping out, right? I'm going home, I'm gonna run this thing. And within like 2 months of going back to Canada to run this business, it went straight to zero after an import and an export restriction were put on the goods that I was selling out of China. And I was foolish enough to make the decision to only have a few limited suppliers, so I literally ran out of inventory. My eBay rating went straight to zero, and it was a massive failure, and like an even bigger lesson. And you know, in between that time, I borrowed some money to day trade the stock market, and I was doing a bunch of little things just to kind of find what made sense to me from an entrepreneurial perspective. And so after that failure, like 2 months later, I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going back to school. And I enrolled in an innovation and entrepreneurship program back home with this kind of fascination and passion for technology and for golf. And, you know, just seeing this real big increase in the demand for wearables. And, you know, I'm going to survey you guys right now. I'm curious. I don't know if it's the right crowd, but it might be. By show of hands, how many of you have purchased or own some kind of a wearable that tracks your fitness, your steps, your health? Hands up, everybody. Beautiful. That's like probably at least 30%. And, you know, I saw that this year at the PGA show in Orlando. I met hundreds of people coming through our booth, saw thousands of others, and it seemed like half of the people walking around that show were wearing some kind of a wearable. And I'd be willing to bet that some of you who own these things don't even take them off. Like, you probably wear them 24/7, and you've literally merged yourself with technology. It's a part of you now. And why is that? Why has there been That's the fastest growing industry in technology. Why? Over just 5 years. And I think there's two key reasons why that's happening. One is we're a generation of information. All of you have a smartphone on you right now. You're probably holding it in your hands. You're just connected to having information at all times. And almost offloading your decisions into something else. You want other things to be making decisions for you. And having access to that quick information is super key to make that happen. And that leads to the second part, which is, in today's day and age, convenience has become like the ultimate currency. We value convenience more than anything. You want to be able to get the exact information that you want within a second. Like sometimes a Google search isn't even quick enough. You want to be able to look at your wrist, have the info that you're looking for, and go on with whatever activity it is that you're about to execute on. And that's really a big reason why wearables are so great for that, is it's a glance of the wrist away. And, you know, I went into this innovation and entrepreneurship program right around the time when GPS golf watches were just exploding amongst amateur golfers. And I was able to see this, still playing a lot of golf. Like I was playing like 300 rounds a year. So I'm playing with amateur golfers everywhere, and I'm seeing everyone wearing these GPS watches. So I was intrigued, tried one on, and the convenience was obviously why they want it, right? You want to look at your wrist, you have the data that you need to make an informed decision and pick your club and be good to go. But when I played with it, I think when you look at the Garmins and the Bushnells and the Sky Caddies, and they're on like version 6 of their watches, and this still hasn't changed in the sense where you get that great convenience, but it was coming at the unnecessary sacrifice of discomfort. The way that they're designed are not like the wearables, whoever put your hands up, that you're wearing. They're not small, they're not lightweight. Wearables are supposed to be unobtrusive to your daily life. They're supposed to provide you the information that you need when you need it without distracting the task that you're actually trying to perform. And in terms of golf, like if you're hitting a 150-yard shot, you expect to put it within 20 feet. So what is that, 450 odd feet to 20 feet? If you do that, like in my opinion, it's a minor miracle to pull that off. And my golf coach used to say that to me all the time. If you play a really good round of golf, you're just performing a series of minor miracles. And why would you want to put something on your body that distracts from you actually being able to execute on that? It just didn't make any sense. So the initial vision behind creating something like Teeling was, how do you merge that, that ultimate convenience of having the information that you need, being able to get it quickly, and just enjoy the game that you're out there to love, instead of being distracted by things, without having to have those distractions and have it be big and clunky. And that was kind of the initial, okay, can I do this? I took it through these class projects, and it was basically just an idea of pitching to fake investors and kind of getting some momentum behind actually creating something from nothing. And the way that it just kind of seemed obvious how to do it was nobody in the golf industry was, from a technology perspective, tapping into what is the most powerful device that every single one of you in the room own right now, and it's in your pocket, which is your smartphone. Your smartphone is the most powerful thing that you own. Regardless of what you say, it's how you communicate, it's how you learn, how you Google things, whatever it might be. You use this every day. I think I unlock my phone 200 times a day. So why not use something that everybody already owns in order to offload, I guess, the components that need to go into making the Garmin watches so big and bulky? So that's what we did. You already paid $600 for this. There's a GPS chip in this. There's data. There's things that we can use that don't need to make this super bulky and super distracting in your golf game. And so by doing that, by tying into the phone, and basically the way that this works is you just connect it with your phone using Bluetooth. You open up our free application and you hit play golf. And a list of 35,000 golf courses worldwide will appear. You'll select your golf course, and you can put your phone away, you can use it as usual, take calls, whatever, and all your yardage information, your front, middle, back of the green, will appear on the Tlink display. And so, by kind of offloading those key components into something you own already, we were able to create something that truly is the ultimate convenience without being distracting at all. And it's very lightweight, it's small, you can come up to me afterwards and you can just see for yourself. So, we got that part done. The next part was back to the PGA show, and 30% of you who raised your hands. There is a big merging between golf kind of transitioning from this, like, I don't want to say like a fat man sport, but like a lazy, like it wasn't even considered a sport, it seemed like. But now you got guys like Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, Tiger Woods, the best players in the world, that they're ripped. Like, they're fitness guys, and people are taking notice of that, which is why people are wearing pedometers on the golf course. So why not merge those two worlds together? So Tlink also tracks your steps, your calories burned, and your distance walked, which just seemed like a natural feature that needed to be plugged into a wearable that you're wearing if you're an avid golfer. And that's actually extremely useful information. Like, when you're done your round of golf, you get a clear screen with stats as to your activity when you were playing that day. And to know that if you take a golf cart, you're only taking 1,500 steps, as opposed to if you're walking, you're taking 13,000. And recognizing that, you know, having useful data that tells you that can decrease your chance of having any kind of a respiratory issue or a heart attack by like tenfold if you continue to do that. People want that information, and it's useful. So building that in there was, I think, extremely important for the use of the products. And then moving on to kind of the third and final feature that I think is just kind of coming naturally because we're the first ones to tie into your phone. And that's that when you buy, I think we all know the feeling of when you buy something new. You buy like a piece of technology, and like 3 months later, they come up with the next thing that has like all these new features that you wanted in the first one, but they just weren't there. And you feel kind of like an idiot for buying it, and you want to return it, whatever it may be. Devices like the Garmin or the Bushnell watches or whatever they may be, they don't evolve. They just stay as they are. Tlink, because it runs off the phone, I'll give you an example of how we're letting our device evolve. We launched this in June this year. I think we had about 7,500 users out of the gate, and we were keeping like kind of an open dialogue with our community. Just, what do you want next? Like, this isn't really the end. Although you're getting your golf yardages and you're getting your activity, what do you want next? And almost unanimously, they said, you know, we want to keep our score. We want to be able to keep our score with it. Okay, cool. We went into our little laboratory for a couple months and worked on it, and now, as of next week when we release this, all you have to do from a user perspective is press one button in our application, and that will update the way that this entire device works, and you'll now be able to keep your score, your putts per round, your greens in regulation, and your fairways hit. Just by hitting one button, you've changed the way that this works and added what I think is twice the value to something that you only paid $99 for to begin with. So having a device that doesn't devalue itself over time, but improves with the user base and as to, you know, what members might be wanting, I think that's the way technology is moving forward, and that's why having it tied into something like this is so important, keeping it simple. And in terms of wearability, and I guess a pretty important part of all this is it has all these things, and you know, it's designed well, it has these great features, we're constantly updating it, and the retail price for it is $99 US, and we wholesale it out for $50 US. And we're able to do that because we've kept the components, like I said, in your phone that it needs to. All the data for the 35,000 golf courses we have is stored in the cloud. It's accessed from your phone. The GPS is kept in your phone. You've already paid for those things. Why pay for them again? So we're able to offer kind of a price point that just isn't touched by any of the competitors, with really more value packed into it for less. And then one final kind of piece in terms of the way that we've designed this is, although it just looks like a solid wristband, we wanted to give users kind of a choice as to how they want to wear their information. So it's actually this individual pod that fits into a silicone skin, and then it comes with a belt clip as well. So you can decide really how you want to be wearing your yardages, how you want to get your information, and what the most convenient way is for you. Don't let us decide, you decide. And so that kind of leads me into the marketing of this. I think you kind of get the point. I would think from a retail perspective that $99 is an impulse buy, and there's just a ridiculous amount of value packed into something like this. But retail, in my opinion, although we've found ourselves a really great niche, is kind of like, especially for GPS, is like a small pond with like big fish like already swimming around in it. We're just trying to like fit through the middles of them or whatever. And what we wanted to find was, you know, an ocean where we could be free willy or whatever. And we found that. And we found that through corporate golf events like with the Birdie Box. And what we found was there's this exponential increase of wearable demand in retail, and it's largely being fulfilled by a lot of amazing companies that are coming out with amazing products. But when you look at the corporate event market, there's not a single wearable for golf that fits in there for two reasons. There's never been one that could be sold for $69 to $89, about the same price as a shirt, and there's never been one that could be fully branded for whatever a corporate client or, you know, a golf club might want to truly represent their brand with something that has high value. And so what we did was found a way to create our wristbands. It's going to be a little tough to see, but this one, we fully customize it with over 100 different colors. We do corporate logo printing on both sides of the wristband, and we even customize the packaging, so that all of the value of what our product is, our brand is completely taken off of it for the most part, is put into your hands or the corporate buyer, whoever it might be that's hosting a golf tournament, so that, you know, instead of at the end of the year having your trunk full of a bunch of crap that you get every single year, like, you know, I think I have my trunk full of a bunch of towels and hats and like the same gifts that you get at every golf tournament. There's something a little bit different, a little bit more unique. So yeah, we're definitely, I guess the analogy, free willy swimming in the ocean is kind of a good one. So I think if you are looking for something that kind of stands out and is a little bit more unique in that sense when you're hosting tournaments, definitely keep Tlink in mind. And just to close this off, I think back to what I was saying about passion, I think the best consumer products really do come out of the people that would have been using them themselves, but just recognized that they didn't exist yet. And when your members wear this, I think they'll be able to recognize that this really is filling a niche that didn't exist. And it's represented, I think, my favorite quotes to cap this off is, I think, a true representation of how this came to be. And that is, your desires are not random. They are the path that your feet should follow. Your passion isn't just a one-night stand with fate. It's your most serious love affair with life. Your hardest, most rewarding mission on this planet is to find your story, trust your pen, and tell it. Tlink is simply a natural extension for my passion and love with the game of golf. And if you put it in your shop and you put it on your member's wrist and you try it out yourself, I think you'll be able to see the same thing. Thank you.
So Derek is a perfect example of some of the entrepreneurs that we see, and he left out part of the story that's really very interesting. He came up with that as part of a class, the idea for the Tlink as part of a class, and when they did their school competition for entrepreneurship, the instructor said that he couldn't use that because it was too far past where everybody else was already in their ideas. So he had to come up with another one. He pitched that other idea, and one of the panelists came up and asked him about this non-Tlink thing and said, that was a great presentation, I'm interested, I'd love to see where this is going to go. And he said, well, interestingly enough, I have another idea, but they wouldn't let me present it. And so that really was the genesis for how Tlink became what it is. And he's also being very modest. He was on, many of you probably don't know that the Shark Tank is actually a second generation show. It started in Canada called the Dragon's Den. So Derek has been on the Dragon's Den, and he has also won the national competition for young entrepreneurs in Canada. What did you finish worldwide?
6th.
You finished 6th in the world. Pretty cool deal. Very nice story. So we'll finish up with the only green, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about the green than some of the other products that I showed you earlier, primarily because ultimately it started here, and I know that there are a number of you that saw it over the years when the Duffys had it and had the business from Cedar Rapids. So the only green was a product that I told you we really liked, and we thought it had a lot more opportunity than maybe what it had in its early life. We set up a number of different golf professionals and retailers with one of these greens as a putter fitting studio or to use as instruction. But ultimately when we got it or took over the business, our goal was to create scalable manufacturing without reducing the quality of the product. So we found we built them ourselves actually for the first 6 months so that we could really learn how everything was made and what the products that needed to be used in them were. We found a local furniture manufacturer and then trained them for 6 months. And then the final step, probably the most important step of the evolution of this product was to find the right market for it. We tried active adult facilities, we tried universities, we tried junior golf programs, golf courses, a number of different events, a number of different markets. At the end of the day, we rent a tremendous amount of these. I have 4 or 5 of them out right now that are doing trade shows around the country. A number of different businesses outside of golf love to have an element to pull people into their booth and create some sort of an entertainment factor and engagement. And it works very well for that. Where we found our real success, or where it fit most naturally, was game room furniture. Probably not a huge stretch for anybody to look at this and see that. So we sought out Brunswick Billiards. Brunswick's been around for 165 years. They're based in Lake Forest, Illinois. And we went and saw them and said, listen, you don't have anything in golf. You do pool tables, you do shuffleboard and table tennis and the works, but you don't have anything in golf. And the golfer is your key demographic. I mean, they generally are competitive people. They like to have some sort of a competitive entertainment feature. So whether it's pool tables or putting greens, these people are people that you need to be in front of. And they couldn't have agreed more. So we built them some units. They started doing some testing and PR on their own, and ultimately have figured out where they want to go with this. So starting in December of this year, you will see this in Brunswick retailers all around the country, and it will be the only green by Brunswick. So it's a kind of an example of how you take a business, figure out all the components of it, do a market study and try and figure out where it best fits, and then ultimately run down that path. So this is probably the best white paper for what we do because it's the furthest along in the process. And Derek and Tlink are probably right behind that because we launched in June and we're now well down the path to getting these to market and finding our true home for Tlink. So if anybody has any questions, we're certainly happy to answer them. I do want to reiterate again that Mark Cruz, many of you know Mark, is a representative for all of these products here in Iowa. And he's been out to our facilities in Scottsdale. He understands the products, and he also knows that he has us as a resource if there any questions or concerns with any of the products that you want to learn more. So with that, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure to be here, and I hope you have a good rest of your meeting. Thank you.
Again, Mike, Derek, and Mark, thank you gentlemen very much again for your title sponsorship of the entire day. We really appreciate this and look forward to working with you guys in the future. So a big round of applause again, gentlemen. Thank you for your support.